on my list of movies that are thought to be unfilmable, and I agree we shouldn't do this one, but they did it anyway, is Monster Hunter.
Oh my god, they did make a Monster Hunter movie.
I have no knowledge of this place.
Oh my god.
What was the Monster Hunter movie? Did they fight a Rathalos?
Just a reminder, this is a spoiler-heavy podcast. Different series that require a spoiler warning will be in the description. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gaming Theater Podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about unfilmable stories. Quotation marks on that one, where we say unfilmable, but I'll explain that when we get to that. To help me out with this episode, I've got a couple of guests with me, and over to my right is going to be...
Hi, I'm WG Ashwood of Ashwood Audio. I'm a Twitch streamer and charity personality. It's a fun time, and I'm excited to be here.
All right. And over to their right is going to be...
Hello, my name is DandDaine, coming to you live from the void. As you can see, it's very dark in here. I could turn on some lights, but I'm not going to. I am a Twitch streamer, a charity-inclined TTRPG individual on Twitch and the internet. And you've probably heard me before on Gaming Theater Presents.
Yes, on Gaming Theater Presents.
Maybe elsewhere, too. I don't know your life.
Oh, that's true. I've heard you before on Ashwood's Audio's Twitch stream.
I hear him in the darkness of the night.
Yes. I'm Batman. So, I'm not like you, criminals and crooks.
Didn't you just break that guy's arm?
Someone like you. Someone to rattle the cages. Hi.
Hi. All right. That being said, before we get started, let's take a quick trip over to the magical merch booth.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Here we are on the Magical Merch Booth, and on today's Magical Merch Booth, I just want to give a quick shout out to some Twitch streamers that we have, the ones who are in our episode right now. So let's have them talk about a little bit of what they stream and what they stream for, and some of the charities that they stream.
Hi, my name is DandDaine. I do stream on Twitch, as does my fabulous co-host here, Ashwood Audio. Sometimes we stream together on Thursdays. I go live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And one of the causes that's very near and dear to my heart is Extra Life Gaming Marathon. We do it in November typically, but it is absolutely available all year round. And this year is my 10th year of doing it, so I'm very much looking to hitting it big, hopefully. Though the year is half over, so I'm... it's fine.
And I am Ash of Ashwood Audio. I'm also a charity-inclined individual. We are donating for this month to actually Extra Life. Extra Life is an incredible charity cause that supports Children's Miracle Network hospitals and the treatment and entertainment of kids in those hospitals. So I go live Thursday through Monday.
What is your schedule, Ashwood?
Right now it is Thursday through Monday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time to midnight.
For X.
Yeah, we've been going hard in the paint lately. So we've been going hard in the paint lately. So if you could pop by Ashwood Audio, give us a like, give us a follow, and say hi in chat, that would be much appreciated.
It's a lovely time. You'll have fun there, I promise.
It is a good time, and I'll have links to those channels over in the description. That being said, let's go ahead and go back to the show. So today's episode, what we're talking about is unfilmable stories. So let me kind of backtrack on where this goes through. When we talk about unfilmable stories, what an unfilmable story is a story of some sort from some media, typically a book or a comic book or even video games and such. And the thought process is, for one reason or another, there is no way we can make a movie out of this. There's no way to put it on film. And now, this is why we had to state that in quotation marks earlier, because a lot of those directors and producers and writers have said, challenge accepted.
When you say we can't put it on film, Leo, could you break that down just a little bit further? Like, Is it a technical limitation? Is it like you shouldn't film this, or you can't do it this way, or like, could you say more on that?
Yeah. So what we're talking about is almost all three of them. So it's like there's the technical aspects, like whatever the story is requires so much technical know-how that either at the time when they thought about this, the idea of doing a story like this is nigh impossible because they don't have the techniques to do that. Um, and we'll explain a couple of those ones there. One I can actually talk about right now is Spider-Man. The Spider-Man movies, especially the Sam Raimi Spider-Verse, Sony always wanted to make a Spider-Man movie, but they couldn't find a good enough director that would be able to work on that movie. Um, Except Sam Raimi is known in the director world back then for being able to do these extremely fast and wide camera shots. In fact, for that movie, for the first Spider-Man movie, he helped design a camera movement that is basically reserved for use in Spider-Man, and they use it for a lot of superhero movies. But the thought of being able to simulate, and he did that so he could simulate web swing by literally swinging a camera in a way that they could follow lines and webbing and the way Spider-Man fires his webbing.
So we have a Spider-Man movie coming out real soon, maybe around the time that this episode drops. Can we
Mm-hmm.
expect to see some shots like that in the new
Oh, all the
movie, you
time.
think?
Yeah, when it's a technological change for that, for the example of Spider-Man, because it's a technological feat, then usually a lot of studios and such will make a sequel to that, and using that sequel, now they have the ability to make a secondary one, and now it becomes more commonplace, and so now the same filming tricks that they use to make Spider-Man seem like he's web slinging, they also do it in Superman to make it look like he's flying, instead of the old way, which was you'd have a green screen and someone laying down on a box and hope for the best. But there's other ways to do it now, but that's a technical feat for it. Another one that's a feat for that, where they say that it's unfilmable, is story wise. Either the scope of the story is so big that it can't be filmed or shouldn't be thought of as filming, or the scope is such in a weird or is so abstract they don't think that you can turn it into a film. Most films are 3-act plays, but if your thing is so very, very abstract or nuanced with that, you wouldn't be able to do that. And I'll explain those when we get to some of our examples on that one. But those are two big ones on there. A third one is plot or storyline doesn't allow it to become made. Or, and that's usually when the storyline is set up in such a way that it isn't viable to make that on there. So I guess the easiest way to explain all of these is going through some of these big examples. Like the one that inspired this is our classic Dungeon Crawler Carl, little DCC. So DCC, and this was I got these notes before their announcement. Dungeon Crawler Carl is going to be produced by Fuzzy Doors Productions. They're famous for being able to do television shows, but they're run by Seth MacFarlane. They do Family Guy. They also run Ted. And so when the book first came out, it got in 2020 and it started getting popular. Seth MacFarlane made sure to get the TV rights to do Dungeon Crawler. But anybody who's read the book knows that there's so much different creatures, different locations, different things that happens in the book for so quickly that the thought of doing this seems almost like an impossible task, especially if Seth MacFarlane is the person who's doing that, because their biggest CGI project lately has been season 2 of Ted. And anybody who's picking up on the in the entertainment world knows that season 3 of Ted was canceled mainly due to the cost of making that kind of CG. So is there hope for it to do this? Well, Seth MacFarlane also ran The Orville, which was a great combination of CGI and puppeteering, and so he could work on that. And as of the time of this recording, they are pushing forward with that. So the project is not standing still at all, and they want to get it developed real soon. So it looks like whatever the technical problems that they had for that is being solved. Even though in the book you have a talking cat that also shoots lasers from their eyes. But also you have goblins, you have skyfowl people, you have talking rat men, and most of that's the first book.
Don't forget a goat man.
Oh yeah, and the goat man.
Previtente is one of my favorite characters.
Mordecai slowly but surely becoming one of mine. And not to mention that they have the gear alone. Having to do special power-ups or glowing stuff that they describe in the book in actual film becomes tricky, especially because there's so many things that have those kind of elements in the book.
Absolutely.
2 or 3 pages before, oh no, all of a sudden there's explosions, and then there's also monsters that are popping up, and there's a clown now that we got to deal with.
I always remember the Scott Pilgrim boss fight scene when they introduce a boss for Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's always a really classic scene in my book, so I'm anticipating something of the like for the TV show.
They already have a tagline, which I love, which is "The apocalypse will be televised," which I think is great. But with that, that's sort of their thing. It was in not development hell, but more of development questionality. Remember, the first book came out in 2020. The rights got picked up almost immediately, which I mean is foreshadowing for that one. Seth MacFarlane wanted to make Dungeon Crawler Carl, but makes it unfilmable. Is if he's having problems trying to get Ted on the air, which was one CG bear, imagine with all of everything else that he has to deal with for stuff that changes around constantly in the books. And I think we're in book 7 at this point.
Book 8, I believe, came out recently.
Yeah, but we have a ton of different things that happen in just book 1.
Oh yeah, and I won't spoil it for you, but there comes a time on the 3rd floor when things change up pretty dramatically for the cast of characters. So it's a really good time. I'm looking forward to see how much is executed in each season of this television show. If they stick to a couple of books per season, or if they want to do it in kind of swaths, we'll just have to see what they've got up their sleeve.
Mm-hmm. They haven't even found an actor to play Carl right now, and that's one of their biggest tasks because it's going to be a tasking job to get it done. Like I know the fan pick is going to be Jensen Ackles for that, but Jensen Ackles is a fan pick for a lot of people's stuff for it.
Oh yeah, he's too old. He's too old for Carl. I'll say it.
He looks great.
I'll stand on my soapbox. He looks fantastic. He's too old.
Yeah, because Carl's 27, I think.
Yes,
and Jensen Ackles is past 40 right now.
He's been supernatural aged for 16 years.
That's the system.
Nothing against him.
Nothing against him. He's an amazing actor.
He's a great voice actor too. I believe he plays Batman in a number of.
Oh yeah.
Of animated specials.
And Batman is one of the ones that he wants to do live action.
Ashwood Audio hates Jensen Ackles.
Put it in the tags.
Put it in the tags. That's how this is going down. Okay, so like that's a case of like technical know-how. Now, do you want an interesting case of technical stuff that is on the opposite end of it that was done on purpose for storyline?
Sure.
Love to hear about it.
You know a movie called Sin City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original comic is written by Frank Miller. Now, you kind of have to go back a ways. Frank Miller used to work for Marvel, and one of his big things is that he redeveloped how we see Daredevil. So Frank Miller helped develop Daredevil because in the early 80s into kind of what we know of Daredevil as a noir-based character now. In fact, in a lot of comics, he's one of the people who started revolutionizing noir as a comic format in the 80s, which you'll start seeing big things for characters like Batman, Daredevil, Wolverine, and a few other ones who fit that same mold. Now, with that being said, what happens is at some point in the late 80s, early 90s, he decides to leave the comics and he's going to go to Hollywood. And when he goes to Hollywood, he's going to make a big script. And he gets his first script going, and he sells the script out. And it's the the first big work that he gets to do is RoboCop 2. So he makes RoboCop 2 with the scripting. But RoboCop 2, from its original scripting that he has, gets sliced and diced by producers, by the people who are backing that, by even the director, and he is mad about it. So mad about it that he decides to finally work on his pet project, which is the comic Sin City. However, Sin City is drawn in a particular way, so that way it makes it extremely difficult or nigh impossible to just do it on film. He does that out of spite. By the way, the one episode we finally get to do Spite Cast, I'll see if I can get some deep diving on, but basically part of Sin City is made out of spite. So it's drawn in a black and white format to look all noir-ish, and so that way it makes it extremely difficult, or then nobody would bother with making the film tech to do that, to make it into that noir style. And even the writing style for that is done in a way so it's hard for it to deliver lines like you would in film, or you would see in most movies in the 90s and the 80s, late 80s and the 90s. That's just what he did with that. So what he didn't realize is Robert Rodriguez, another film director, one of my favorites, has an independent film studio called Troublemaker Studios. What he does is that he literally sits there and he develops a way to shoot film to make it look like the movie Sin City, or to make a movie for Sin City. He pitched it by going to managing to get a meeting with Frank Miller, goes to his house, and the same day, he asked Josh Hartnett, and I forget what the name of the other person is, but they do this brief scene, which he plays as an assassin and it's in the opening sequence of Sin City, and he films that at the beginning of the day, edits it in the middle of day, and shows it all to Frank Miller at the end when he has his meeting at nighttime when he's going to have dinner with him.
That's impressive.
And when he showed him that he could do that in one 24-hour period, he's like, yeah, I can get it done. Let's do this. And in order to seal the deal, the second story, I think it is, in Sin City in the film is directed by Frank Miller as well. But Frank Miller did that comic specifically in a way so that way it couldn't be filmed, because he was so mad at what happened to him when he made RoboCop 2.
So what was the secret sauce on that that filming tech? Was it a filming technique or was it CGI where they just slapped a couple layers on there?
So the secret sauce is Robert Rodriguez. It's not just the he made the he helped develop the filming technique to put it all black and white and to make certain colors stand out specifically without needing keep in mind when Sin City comes out, digital cameras and digital working is very newish for that. But he played with it and managed to get it to work on it. But he also directed it using the noir style that Frank Miller was really famous for, to make it feel like that. So it's not just we're filming it this way, we're also being able to edit it and make it feel this way for it. So that's both a technological, but this is the case I was talking about before, is it's a story-based thing. Sometimes the writer or author on it purposely writes their stuff into a way so that way it can't be filmed, or it's difficult to film. Like Watchmen was another one that was thought of, because when Watchmen was, it's Alan Moore that did Watchmen?
Yes.
So. All the stuff that's in Watchmen are tropey to comics specifically. Like they're done in panels like comics. So translating comics to film directly was thought of as extremely difficult or not possible in the late in the 80s or even the 70s. When did Watchmen come out? 86. So when they published it in 1986, it was written in a way to feature stuff that would work best in comics, but would not work great in cinema. So that's the case of just the way they wrote it was leaning on comic book tropes and things for that matter. One's based on story, one is a technical part, and if you want that third one, which is just the scope of the story, Dune is a disaster in most cases. A lot of film directors since the inception of Dune, so we're talking about the original book writings way back when, kind of thought of as the white whale of cinema. You do it to prove that you can do it. There was a rumor, and I'm not certain if this is just a rumor, the Dune in the 80s that was made, which no, we're not talking about the Dune that's made now. That's a whole different story on that one. The Dune in the 80s that's made by Lynch. Oh, why can't I remember his name? David Lynch. That one, if I recall, like there's been theories that when people went to go see it in the theater, scope was in such a weird way that they had to be presented a pamphlet to go see the theater. You had to read the notes before you could go see the movie.
Incredible.
Because that's how Dune was. And Dune has a lot of stuff going into it. A lot of it. And so most people are like, okay, we'll do this film. Why don't we do Dune? Sweet. Have you read Dune? Nah. Let me go read it real quick. Comes back. I don't want it. And this goes on every decade. Some science fiction director keeps trying to make Dune and nobody backs it. Until the 80s when somebody does back it. And Dune was not a popular movie in the 80s. And a lot of the story of Dune got cut out to make it work.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that didn't make the film. I'm by no means an expert on Dune, but I just know the tales and the rumors of what is in the books.
Mm-hmm. Like growing up, I learned more about Dune Dune 2, which was one of the first games that's an RTS, more than I know of the story of Dune. Story of Dune is a lot of stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so almost every it's kind of why it's considered like this weird, not the Holy Grail, because that's a whole different story. If it's the Holy Grail of film, it's a film that appeals to every single person. That's almost impossible to do.
That's Monty Python's The Holy Grail.
True.
Yeah, I laughed. If you don't get it, you were there. But no, Dune is seen as the white whale of that, almost like the climbing of Mount Everest of film stories that you can do. If you can adapt Dune, you got it made. But Dune is a difficult thing to adapt. Also, Lord of the Rings. They usually only did The Hobbit because Lord of the Rings was thought, at the time, huge scope.
Honestly, Peter Jackson's is perfect. No one should try it again. We're good.
We're good.
We're all set, actually. The Hobbit we don't talk about, but like the Lord of the Rings, I mean, the Hobbit was fine. It was okay. But Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, no notes.
We did it. We did it in one.
I mean, like, we didn't get Tom Bombadil, and that's my greatest regret. But other than that, like, perfect cinematic, man.
Perfect cinematic masterpiece.
Cinematic masterpiece. Thank you. I don't know why that was so hard.
I mean, some characters just have to hit the cutting room floor in order for the story to make sense and keep the pace going.
Yeah, but he's a silly little guy who has yellow boots and a hot wife. Like, that's just goals.
Mm-hmm. Goals, yes, but apparently didn't need to be there in the story, and sometimes that just happens.
Disagree.
Would you make the movie? That's a dumb question. I was going to ask, would you make the movie longer to have Tom Bombadil? And the answer to anybody is yes.
Would I make it accurate? Yeah, of course I would.
Commenters, let us know. Would you add Tom Bombadil to Peter Jackson's trilogy of films?
Mm-hmm. Would you? Clearly, some of us here would.
He's great. He's a silly little guy with yellow boots and a hot wife that the ring can't really tempt. It's just neat. He sings songs, okay? A little bit of whimsy would have been nice. Anyway, I digress.
A little bit of whimsy, I get it. So yeah, those are sort of the big examples of that. Now, is that the only ones? There's a few I want to talk about because I think they'll be fun and neat. But those are sort of the big examples. It's either the scope, the cost, or actually, there's one more I wanted to talk about, which is the cost and or the comparison to. Ghostbusters 1 was a big hit in the 80s. Ghostbusters 2, though not as popular as Ghostbusters 1, was still a huge hit in the 80s. Ghostbusters 3 never came into existence because of two very big things on that. So those who don't know, Ghostbusters 1 and 2 were both written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who played Egon Spengler and Ray Stantz in the movie. So the two actors who are in the movie are also the two guys who wrote the movie, right? And they also wrote the sequel as well. Fun fact, it's one of the few sequels out there that makes very little to no references to the original movie. They just never reference it, the stuff that happens in the first movie, because time's passed and they're like, all right, we'll move on.
It's completely standalone. You don't need it.
I mean, true. Is that kind of similar to when they replace an actor and don't really like call any attention to the fact that like one of the Three Ninjas kids is completely different?
No, that's a casting situation for it. No, this means that they make absolutely no references to it. So that means that they don't reference the fact that they busted let me rephrase. They make very little references to that. There's a spot in the movie at the beginning where Peter references the fact that they did that the one of the reasons why the Ghostbusters broke up in the second movie was because they got sued to hell because the buildings exploding and getting trashed during all the events that happened at the end of the first movie. So they got sued a lot for it. Now, because of that, the only real reference that they have on it is that conversation to why they broke up. After that, the firehouse isn't mentioned, the proton packs, their experiments, and everything leans towards just going through for the current movie. And that's on purpose. So a thing about comedians and comedy films, a lot of them from really big comedians refuse to do sequels. This is also the reason why one of the two big reasons why Ghostbusters 3 never happened. Bill Murray refuses to do sequels. Outside of two series, Garfield for some reason, and Ghostbusters, there is no other sequels that he's been in as a starring character. There are sequels that he's been in, but the only one I know of off the top of my head is Zombieland, and that's a reference to it in Zombieland 2 is a reference to what happened to Bill Murray before the zombie apocalypse happened. Hilarious.
One of my favorite scenes.
That was the first case. The second case is that they got the script from Dan Aykroyd, and it was astronomical the amount of money that they needed for this movie. It was like the Ghostbusters were going to go to hell, or there was going to be this whole fire and brimstone thing, and the sets alone were going to cost them a ridiculous amount of money that they could not justify.
Do they recycle some of that plotline for the animated series? Because I vaguely remember them going to hell.
Some of it, yeah. So that's the fun thing about the animated series, and at some point I want to do an episode about movies that became popular TV shows, because one of those is the real Ghostbusters. The thing is, the writers and producers of the real Ghostbusters also worked on the Ghostbusters film directly. And their lead writer and story editor in that is J. Michael Straczynski, which if you're a sci-fi nerd, you know him from making Babylon 5 and that series. Also, if you're a big fan of the Spider-Verse, you can thank him for part of the storyline for the Spider-Verse.
Hell yeah.
Which part?
The beginning. The whole... if you're...
That's a stupid question. You big Spider-Man fan? Name every part.
Uncle Ben dies.
Oh shit.
Right at the beginning.
Great power, great responsibility.
And then there's this whole Venom suit, and then he has a girlfriend that's the Black Cat, but then leaves her, and there's a whole thing about it. He does a storyline called I think it's called The Order or The Other. Crud, I can't remember his name. But anyway, it's the beginnings of what they do will later become the Spider-Verse. Because the main villain is a vampire named Morden, I think. And he is the main villain of the comic version of the Spider-Verse. Which later they redo to tap the Spider-Verse to do other stuff for it.
Yeah, Morbius. I've heard of him. He's Morbin.
It's not Morbius, guys.
It's not Morbius.
I'm sorry, I had to.
But it's not Morbin time, although Morden time may be the guy. He has a family of vampires that would need spider blood, and there's an awful super-powered spider blood. It's crazy how the Spider-Verse works. Also, it's crazy how much is in the Spider-Verse. It's a lot. If you're wondering how a lot it is, according to my research, the multiverse existed, and Marvel basically did this. Hey, we have the multiverse. Move it to the left. Now we have a Spider-Verse.
And Morlun is a Magic the Gathering card.
Yay! It does more than one thing.
I only know about the Morlocks.
That's the Murlocs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Put in a tag.
Fake fans.
But I digress. So basically, all of Ghostbusters 3 gets held up because Bill Murray doesn't want to do another sequel. When they're asking price for that, just to get it off the ball, is like, You're asking for an awful lot for a comedy about ghosts.
Boston makes me feel good.
It does. But yeah, but the real Ghostbusters makes references to the film, by the way. There is two episodes. One's called Citizen's Ghost, and the other one is, I watched it yesterday. I can't remember its name, but basically the Ghostbusters go to Hollywood, and in canon, the movie that you see in the theater is actually the movie that these guys worked on. There's a brief moment in there where you can see the real Ghostbusters have an animated version of, I think it's Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd in there.
Fantastic.
And a lot of lore is explored because Dan Aykroyd does keep up with that show. There's a whole bunch of other stuff with it, but it's hilarious for the fact that they put into all these kind of details for it. But yeah, so are they perturbed for that? Not really, because if you know gaming history, there's a game called the Ghostbusters, the video game, which is also written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. It's the last thing that he wrote before he passed away, which is the video game. And they managed to get the whole band back together. The director of the game basically said, "Okay, we're gonna have you guys can you make me the script? Sure. Can I have all the cast back? Yeah, we'll do this." And they're like, "So who's the player character or on there? Are you playing as any characters?" "No, you don't get to play as any of the other Ghostbusters. In fact, the player has no lines in the entire game, so that way these guys can banter with each other because that's funnier."
So did that game actually get made and like come out, or was it?
Oh yeah, it's been remastered actually recently.
Oh really? I'll have to pick it up.
So you want to look up Ghostbusters the video game, and you'll see on the picture of it is Bill Murray and I think Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson as their characters in the Ghostbusters, and they're on the cover for it. However, there's a version for both the Wii, the Xbox, and the PlayStation 2, I think, on that. The best version is the Xbox when it first came out, but it was the slowest load time on that. PlayStation 2 had the better load times, but it didn't handle nearly as well, and the Wii just was not good at all, not in the least. And then they remastered it recently, a couple of years ago.
I'll have to see if it's on Steam, or I'll have to get a totally legal copy.
That's what I heard. But no, it's an amazing game, and it's hilarious for everything that they do on it. It's just like watching another movie. It's great. In fact, the timeline of that game is 5 years after the second game, which takes place second movie, which takes place 5 years after the first movie. So it still followed that chronological order for it. The only actor from the major actor from the original movie they couldn't get their hands on is the guy who plays Louis Tully, Rick Moranis. But that's because Rick Moranis doesn't do any acting anymore. He refuses to. He gets offers all the time, by the way.
That might not be as true as we think it is. I've heard rumors he might be coming back for for a project potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spaceballs.
Was it Spaceballs?
Yeah, it was Spaceballs too. He's allegedly gonna reprise his role.
I really thought I had like dreamt that up. Like I had heard he was considering coming back, but then in my head I was like, it can't be Spaceballs 2. You want that too much. We can't have nice things. It's exciting.
No, I think it actually is Spaceballs 2.
It's exciting.
I'd watch it.
I will watch
it. Let's see here. On my list of movies that are thought to be unfilmable, and I agree we shouldn't do this one, but they did it anyway, is Monster Hunter.
Oh my god, they did make a Monster Hunter movie.
I have no knowledge of this place.
Oh my god.
What was the Monster Hunter movie? Did they fight a Rathalos?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask because because it's a question that some of our audience might have, which is, I've never played Monster Hunter. Because in the grand scheme of Capcom's list of games, of legends that they have, Monster Hunter is out there, but Monster Hunter doesn't come to the United States for a long, long time in comparison to all the other ones.
Yeah, let me be a surrogate for the audience here who haven't heard of Monster Hunter. What is this Monster Hunter-y business that you speak of?
You want to take this one, Data, or do you want me to?
Oh, well, go nuts, my friend.
Okay, so Monster Hunter is a game you hunt monsters on it. but not like in the same way as you would a Digimon or one of them pocket monsters like the Pokemans. No, what you would do is that you would find the biggest monster out there, take them on, fight them, then take their body parts to a blacksmith, forge it into a meaty and mighty weapon, and also some mighty meaty armor, and then go find the next biggest thing and go fight that.
Are there perhaps giant weapons I can use?
Oh yes, very giant weapons, like to the point that it makes a Buster Sword look minor in some cases.
That is true.
This seems like a lot of work. Are there maybe some sort of assistance that could help out with this, like a small cat creature?
A palico, which is a cat creature that helps you out and or makes food for you, or becomes your buddy and fights by your side, unless you are playing it multiplayer. Then they take a hike because you have a friendo over there that's going to take their place. And if you're on PC and you haven't experienced it, note the pains that you have for Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm there with you. That thing is notoriously terrible on that.
Yeah, no, I tried a Monster Hunter for a little while, and the problem we had with I was playing it with my roommate, but the problem we had is that in order to play the game in multiplayer, you had to first complete the story in single player, and we just never matched up our playthroughs, so it was impossible to do multiplayer together.
I will admit it is one of those things, right, where the limitations that they place on those sometimes does not make it very fun. I had kind of a similar experience where, like, I really wanted to get into Monster Hunter, but I didn't want to do it alone because, to be honest, it scared me. And very similar to Ashwood's story, where it was like, yeah, we'll just play together. And it's like, oh, we can't yet. Maybe one day, though. Wouldn't that be cool? Someday?
Wouldn't that be fun? Someday. I got into Monster Hunter Wilds on that, and the main reason why I got into Wilds is because I had a group of friends that were going to play at the same time, and Wilds doesn't have that same thing. Like, you still have to go through the tutorial by yourself, but once you're done with the tutorial, you can team up with anybody at any time, which is great.
It's a good change.
It's a good change. They have a lot of positive changes for it. From what I understand about the Monster Hunter video games, Monster Hunter Wilds is the easiest to get into because they have a lot of changes on there that aren't so laser specific as they had on the previous ones. For one thing, it's not actually hitboxes, but it's like the best thing. The example I have, like the area you need to hit on the monster doesn't need to be specific. In some of the older Monster Hunter games, if you don't cut them at exactly like the 45-degree angle on their neck, they are receiving minor damage for that. But if you are specifically aiming for one specific spot, that's how you get your critical hits and different things that you need to do to set up. And also, it wasn't very friendly with the weaponry on that one. There's a weapon called the Gun Lance, which is in a lot of multiplayer games, from what I understand from our buddy Nibblestar, in a lot of games for that in multiplayer, they were banned in that from using it because you could use the Gun Lance, but you can interrupt and stop other people's attacks because of the shockwave given to you by the Gun Lance. They don't do that in Wilds, but that would be like, and there is certain things that can affect it. Like you have to get certain buffs and gemstones, so your abilities don't affect other abilities to knock them out of them trying their best to fight down this monster.
Okay.
So very specific monster hunting things. But as you know, we fight one big monster to fight another big monster.
Yeah, so that sounds like that would be really difficult to make a film about.
Oh, and it is. Somebody tried to make a movie. I got halfway through it, and I was bored.
I think I could write a Monster Hunter movie.
It's starring Mila Jovovich and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, the same guys who did the Resident Evil movies.
Oh, holy shit. I'd better check that out.
Yep, good luck with that one. There's some concepts in that movie I really like, but ultimately I was very meh. And most people didn't want to do a Monster Hunter movie because the gameplay for Monster Hunter makes more sense than the plot line for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Street Fighter. Don't get me wrong. It is my favorite thing to watch the original Street Fighter movie from the 90s. It is camp, and it does not take itself seriously.
You tread carefully, Leo. You tread very carefully about what you're about to say.
I saw a clip today of the old Street Fighter movie, and I love it. I love
It's
Bison
so
delivering.
good.
Brawl Julia, M. Bison, best actor in the movie. Best acting job on there. No notes.
Yeah.
Everyone else, questionable.
Kylie Minogue's cameo is great, and I will fight you to the death.
In some sort of street fight?
Maybe. I will punch a car over it if I have to.
The scripting for this is questionable at best.
I mean, hell, I'd even take Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile, to be honest. Like, is it the choice I would have made? No. But do I hate it? Also, no.
Looking forward, honestly, to the new Street Fighter movie coming out soon, because it looks like they decided, no, we're gonna dive into the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So here's the reason. Just because I love this movie doesn't mean I don't see the flaws on it. Same reason why I love Army of Darkness. I get the flaws, but it's amazing. So the thing is, the problem is the plot line for it. Basically, you have two guys who literally go fight in the street, and once one of them goes down, then you move on to the other end of the country to go meet up with another person to fight them. This is the same plot line for every single character. So who do you pick as a main character for that one to run the storyline?
It's Ryu, obviously.
Yeah, but they did Guile, didn't they? Right. Didn't they?
I mean, yeah, they did, but
but
it would be Ryu.
Like, it would be Ryu if you went deeper into the plot. But when Street Fighter 2 came out, people just met up on the street. Commerce happens in the background, as one particular comedian says about that.
Street Fighter 2 is a perfect game, and I will accept nothing less.
Yes. The question here isn't about the game. The question here is about making a cohesive film about said game. Street Fighter, if it ever made a movie and it took itself way too seriously, gone. This isn't just Street Fighter as an issue. This is an issue with most fighting games except for maybe Mortal Kombat. Because the plot line is these guys meet up on X place and then they fight each other.
They do that. That is true.
And then they have weird backgrounds that are on there. But remember, so like let's say you're going with Ryu. Ryu's big boss is Sagat. Ryu doesn't care about M. Bison in Street Fighter 2.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Bison's just the final boss at the game. But Sagat's the one he needs to make sure to fight. Yes, I have defeated my rival Sagat. And he now has a missing eye and I forget what makes him lose his eye. I do know the scar in his chest is because of Ryu. But I know a bit more about Street Fighter lore than a lot of people who than any new guy who just picked up the controller and called it a day.
It's me. I'm the guy who just picked up the controller, and I'm gonna mash A.
I mean, you must defeat Shenlong to ever stand a chance, Ashwood.
I'm gonna do low kicks until I win.
That's a Street Fighter reference, just for those at home.
Give me a fighting game that has a similar plot to Street Fighter that came out in the 90s. You will throw a rock at a fighting game.
Double Dragon.
Yep, that's one. Also, the Double Dragon movie stinks.
The Double Dragon movie's incredible. How dare you?
I watched it 3 times. And on my 4th time, I'm like, man, this is not a great movie.
It's not.
Still watched it.
But it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. There is a Riff Tracks version of that movie now.
I bet that's good.
And it was funny watching that because I'm going, oh, I know this movie. I actually saw this movie. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting time. But yeah, so like a lot of, like Dead or Alive has weird things kind of like that.
Dead or Alive is a bad movie. I will give you that.
Oh, I feel so bad because their cast is amazing.
I really want to argue against Dead or Alive, but oh god, it's real bad.
Is that a volleyball movie or something?
You know, you think it might be, but no.
Uh-huh. You're getting closer.
But no, sadly, it is a fighting movie. Not a good fighting movie, but a fighting movie.
And I think those are the only 2 live-action fighting games that I know. Well, again, Mortal Kombat gets a little pass, but kind of in the weird vein is that, ironically, Paul W.S. Anderson, who made Mortal Kombat, comes up a lot. He took the time and effort to understand the storyline, and Mortal Kombat as a storyline is very well paced around the around making a film for it. You know, you don't have one main character, you have three main characters, and they are all their paths are linear, going the same way in the storyline, just trying to get through the tournament. Why is Ryu here fighting Ken? Because he wants to. Why is Ryu fighting Blanca? Because he's next on the list. Why is Ryu fighting Zangief and has traveled to USSR, even though the man has no job and he is quote, a wandering martial artist?
To all of you at home, I want to apologize for my co-host pronunciation of Ryu. We grew up in the 80s and 90s. It was a simpler time. I'm sorry about that.
You're right. You're right. Ken Masters, why is he in this tournament?
Studied with Ryu, I think. Same dojo, maybe? I don't. Yeah.
Just because they're in the same dojo doesn't mean that they also, you know what, the same dojo. You know what? You're going to a worldwide fighting tournament. I guess I'll join the worldwide fighting tournament.
I mean, look, if Ashwood were like, "Hey, I'm gonna go join a worldwide fighting tournament," yeah, I would go with him.
You would?
Yeah.
I got this invitation in the mail the other day.
Oh, well, this is awkward.
See, I'm on the other side. I'm like, I'm still going, but I want to see where this goes. Ashwood, just to let you know, we're on opposite sides of the tournament. I don't.
Oh, no.
If I have to put you, it's happened.
Oh no!
I don't know how I got myself in there, but I want to see this.
Gotta see it happen.
I gotta know.
I gotta know what happens.
Oh yeah, but like, what is it? You don't see a movie about Clay Fighter 33 in the third, now do you?
No, you sure don't.
Most Fatal Fury fighting games are, or Mark of the Wolves, for those who know, is mostly animated through anime, and most of it is a chapter after or before the tournament.
You know, I'm kind of surprised we've not seen a Soul Calibur movie.
Honestly, yes. Its storyline would work, kinda, because its main character is Siegfried most of the
Or
time.
Nightmare. Spoilers.
Like, yeah, why don't we have a Soul Calibur?
Are you right?
Mm-hmm. Would it be the best?
I mean, it would be a movie.
It would be a movie. Tekken always has questionable things on that.
There is a Tekken movie, right?
Yeah, there's a Tekken movie.
I thought so.
I don't know much of the Tekken movie.
Nor do
I remember the ending to one of the Tekken movies. I don't think it's live action. I think it's animated, but basically, something. One of the characters, can't remember who, actually beats the final dude, gets out, and they're like, "Oh man, well, oh hey, everyone survived," and there's just standing on a cliff every single person who is a character that is selectable in Tekken for some reason.
Good for them.
Even Roger, the punching kangaroo.
Well, yeah. You're not going to leave out Roger. Come on.
Mm-hmm. I didn't leave him out. He survived to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else did.
Exactly.
For some reason. Alright. Now, I know one I wish wasn't a movie, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I stand by my statement, should have never been made into a movie. You cannot cram that much world-building storyline from in one book into a 2-hour movie.
I was just gonna say I completely agree. There's so much character story that's put behind the first season of the show and world building that you can't get it in a 2-hour chunk. It's got to be a long extended series.
Mm-hmm. Miniseries at the smallest time frame, I think.
6 to 8 hours, maybe 10, 20.
48.
You know, half an hour episode increments to explain the whole thing. Wait, you know, we already have that one.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if either of you thought it would be possible to make an Avatar: The Last Airbender series of films in which you could faithfully adapt. You know, I feel like what's weird is that it has, in my opinion, the opposite of the like a Star Wars or a Marvel film issue, where I think you have to do a part 1 and part 2 at the beginning. So I feel like if book 1 were 2 parts, 2 movies, 4 hours, okay, I could entertain the idea that you could do relatively faithfully the first book of Avatar: The Last Airbender in 4 hours, right? It would be a stretch, it would be a lot, but I feel like maybe you could pull it off, right?
Yeah, the second book, no, there's a lot that happens in book
See, and I
two.
almost feel like the third book is relatively short,
Yeah,
so I feel
Yeah.
like one film would be fine for that. The second,
hmm.
I don't know. I could take it. It would be difficult. You'd have to cut out a lot. But there's
Yeah,
also a lot that, like, okay, I'm going to say some things that are sacrilege. That is going to be perceived as sacrilege. All right, I mean it specifically in the confines of turning Avatar into a movie and trying to make that work. I think the series is perfect. It's great. Just a little caveat: don't at me. But I do think there are parts of book two that are not strictly necessary when viewed under the lens of adapting it into a feature film.
Sure. I can agree to that. Yeah.
you know,
You know,
I get you.
yeah. Like I would not want to lose any of them, but I feel like if I were a fat cat bigwig, in Hollywood,
Hmm.
there's definitely like swamp benders. Yeah, who needs them? Like
Well, yeah, because you lose the swamp benders, and yeah, it's great for story growth and such, and you get to
mm-hmm.
see what they can do later, and it only plays into something that happens in book three, where Katara figures out that you can use waterbending for more than other things as long as water is there.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, like, I'm not. So this isn't I don't think M. Night Shyamalan would have been the great director for that film.
Oh
I
God,
just
no.
don't think it is good as a film in general. It's just too much stuff that happens that you can cram into that 2 hour long period for a film.
I feel like you could do it.
I want to see a Planet Earth style biopic about the animals of the world of
Oh
Avatar.
yeah, give me some platypus bears and like
Give me a
yeah,
Yeah.
documentary style.
that's what he's saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Planet Earth style. Get David Attenborough to be like, and the wild turtle dove mates with its other turtle doves, or
Yeah,
however that would go.
yeah. No. I'm picking up Spin Down for sure.
Amongst the oddities of the world of Avatar is the bear. Not a bear turtle, not a bear dog. It is just simply a bear and nothing else.
God, I love that. I would love that.
But yeah, that's about how this episode started wherever you get itself up. Um, there's different. If you want something that thought was impossible, but eventually is possible, you have seen it for this one. Another one in the realm of scope is the Avengers. Was never thought of possible to make a movie on originally because you would have to do too much world building to make it work. However, as we know now, somebody did.
Yeah, we've got 20 years of world building now. I don't even remember how old I was when Iron Man 1 came out, but
Oh God, why would you say so?
Ugh, still,
it
it gets
been,
me.
it's so much world building.
it's been 87 years.
But it really shows the dedication of the studio and the people behind the wheel
Mm-hmm.
of Avengers that they stuck it out long enough to get the Avengers Assemble moment, and then have carried it on through up to Doomsday, which I believe is coming out this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so many people are going to be in there.
Well, we'll give them this. They are precocious. They are stubborn to a fault. Absolutely, they are continuing forward at all costs.
But that is mostly all the stories I know of about how people would perceive it as unfilmable. So far, there's only one that I know of off the top of my head that is also considered unfilmable and has yet to be made a film, which is Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that's doable. We've seen it with the Avengers, so it's not impossible to do something like that. But Crisis on Infinite Earths is such a big scope for those who are who aren't comic historians. Crisis of Infinite Earths is a story to basically condense and put together 40 plus years of comic history, and then untangle it to make one brand new world on that. And Crisis of Infinite Earths has tons of different storylines that are tied to it. In the main storyline, it is like the epic of event comics is Crisis. That's why we keep coming up in different stories and such.
And while people keep trying to redo it
Mm-hmm.
in different ways.
The closest one I've seen is the Arrowverse, and they did a pretty good job with what they got. Like, could have been better, yes, very much so. But with what the scale that they were working with, I think they worked with what they got.
Well, I wasn't even talking about like people trying to do Crisis on Infinite Earths, but like it feels like DC hit upon that fairly early, and that now these days we have just Crisis of multiple Earth. Like it seems like they're trying to like. I remember when the New 52 came out, there was a bit of an outcry because they promised that they were not going to rehash any stories, that it was all going to be fresh, new comic book goodness. And it took them about, I don't know, a year, I think, before they were like, hey, what if we did the spoilers for Batman? What if we did the death of Jason Todd again?
What if we redid that one?
Like, but you said you weren't going to. Yeah, but like, what if we did?
Oh, my favorite discussion on that. All right, guys, we're gonna do the New 52. Everyone gets their own brand new origins. Even Batman? Yes, even Batman. What about Nightwing? Well, wouldn't he be Robin again? No, because Nightwing's Nightwing, and he's way popular.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Like, it's funny because if you know it, the New 52, every Superman starting from scratch, Wonder Woman starting from scratch, Batman, hold off about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta age that guy up, or else Nightwing becoming Robin is a weirder thing than it needs to be.
Very true.
But yeah, that's about the gist of what I've got as what's considered unfilmable stories. I can't. Either of you guys know any other stories that are considered as unfilmable?
Not really off the top of my head, but go for it, Ashwood.
I can think of one story. It's from Drew Hayes. It's called the Villain's Code. It kind of shares the breadth of the. It's such an expansive tome on superhero, like it's a love letter to superhero comics, and it's such a big novel with such a wide expanding world with a cast of characters that goes back maybe 20 to 30 years. So it would just be a huge unfilmable mess unless they like really cut it down. So I don't know how filmable that would be, but it's a really great novel.
Oh, that's great. Like that would be a good way to go. Like if you have a great novel and such, this keep in mind this topic, it doesn't mean it can't be done, but they're thought of as they can't be done for one reason or another. Um, also, doesn't mean that if they are done, that doesn't mean that it'll be done well. People had a huge hype train for the Miami Vice movie because Miami Vice, in the history of television, brought cinematic camera works and things to a regular TV ground level. But apparently, when you go the other way, you become kind of a boring movie.
All right, I got to talk about Watchmen.
Okay.
I got a bone to pick with Watchmen. The Watchmen movie sucks shit, and I will stand on that.
Elaborate.
So,
I know my feelings because of Watchmen, because I think I don't go out to watch this Watchmen a second time, which as a bigger comic book guy, you think I would, but
yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would if it were good. So you take one of the most beloved graphic novels, maybe of all time, and you string together the loose leaf dollar store version of the graphic novel. And I understand, right? There's always going to be things left on the cutting room floor, but we apparently had time for the worst sex scene in cinema history after only Highlander 2. Insanity. We have time for that, but we don't have time for some of the more poignant, groundbreaking, like incredible writing that is present in that graphic novel. Crazy to me.
Sorry, I just have to take down the sign that says 970 days since the last time Dane talked about the Highlander 2 sex scene.
Oh, I know.
We got to set the incident day back to 0.
Look, that is the worst sex scene in cinematic history as far as I'm concerned. Let me know if you know a worse one, I guess. Put it in the comments. But also, second only to that, Watchmen. What if we banged in the Owlmobile? Woo! Oh, flamethrowers. That's original. That's super cool. Yeah, that movie sucks.
Which is funny because it's more poignant in the comic when they do the exact same thing.
But it just works.
It works
because it's one panel. It's like 1 to 5 panels, not like what felt like an eternity. Also, Hallelujah. That's the song you choose. A slowed down rendition of Hallelujah. Come on.
My thing on that one was when they said they were making Watchmen into cinema, I didn't realize it was a shot-for-shot, almost a shot-for-shot remake of the comic. I get that's actually what he was going for. Still annoyed me.
And a lot of that movie is done well,
yeah.
but I don't know. There's so much that it could have been so much better.
That is the DandDaine's gripe of today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll show them.
That'll get them. But yeah, that's about all the ones I could think of. And this isn't the case of the Emoji movie where we're nobody really wanted this, but somebody got.
They'll greenlight anything some days.
Some days, all those live action remakes of animated series. Here's the thing: if they did a live action remake of Atlantis, I'm in. Atlantis: The Lost Empire, I would be sold so fast.
Yeah, that's
It is
true.
The 25th anniversary this year.
Make it happen, you cowards.
I'll play Mole Man. I'll do it.
Oh yeah.
All right. But with that being said, our next episode will be available on July 17th. And with that, this is Gaming Theater Podcast logging off. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Gaming Theater Podcast is hosted, created, produced, and edited by Leo Garcia, the Geek Scorpio. Our music is A Drinking Game. Stock media provided by Stormwave Audio /Pond5. Our cover art is by Adam Parker. You can find him at ParkerGFX on Twitter. If you want to send us some money to help with these episodes, you can do so at patreon.com/gamingtheaterpresents. Want to send support that doesn't hit your wallet? Please leave a review with wherever you hear your podcasts and share our podcast with your friends. It really helps out. Thank you for listening.